一招神法救翻起。
完美。落閘放咗狗俾人，
你啊？哦，
係完美，冇所謂啦。反正
慣咗咯。
偷懶喎，可以咁樣更加。我俾個惡魔棘住咗，我唔想。好黏嘅啲蜘蛛網。得得得得得得得得得。
我要勁啊！
得得得得得得。
我有排先50啊！
得
成件事
得得得得得得得得得得得得得得得得得得得。聽到嚿電打落嚟嘅聲嘅。好，扮做嘢先，企喺度。欣賞下呢個2B 嘅玩法。3。噔噔噔噔噔噔噔噔，等個白魔做晒佢。Boom！
中意。
佢會掠嚿 boom 喺度噶嘛，就掠中咗一個唔識喐嗰個人度，喺正頭頂落咗嚟，然後佢就起咗啦。
又係我
就係你
啦
啊，頭頂嘅 boom headshot。尾巴壞咗啦。招冇攻咧，冇攻，攻個酸咧。26，唉，弓箭26，劍術都係26。
又可以做職任啦嘛，去廁所。
去
點啊？
我個二 B
成功啦！恭喜諗啦！
都個二 B 添。
做單數。
認為做得啦。
嗰個喺度變轉職成為一個真正嘅黑魔導師中，
你有轉，
佢未有得舐支水晶先。要繼承莉莉絲嘅意志。
哦，
要作為一個通緝犯啦。自願成為一個黑魔，就係自願成為一個通緝犯。其他職都話好歹都有個工會，仆街黑魔連個工會都冇，因為係通緝嘅，用親就俾人
呢班通緝犯
用埋些禁忌魔法，未試過。
又排唔到。
啊！哇！你個箭靶收埋咗個橋底度咁陰濕嘅。
有啲公司要搞，等先打。
お疲れ様です。かわいいでしょねえ、めっちゃスーパー茶飲んでる。なにめちゃめちゃ飲んでる。
Extra turret aggro there on a cause as Teddy.
Yep, a little bit of a snare there onto live. Haymaker though keeps himself relatively healthy.
Well, a lot of the tempo advantage they had on the top side of the map was lost with this extension that cost Kana his flash. Cuz keeps his, at least, is able to get away with that one. But that was definitely a huge moment for Rascal to take Kana's flash away and to take a breath. He's still behind, obviously, and this is still not going to be a happy time, but it could have just been completely over. Like, that could have been almost game-ending if they get another kill there, they get to faster Eclipse, and we've seen this before.
Yeah, and then Kana can group up, and the Shockwave's, you know, a two-shot on some of these carries from Gen G. That's when things get extraordinarily scary.
That's when you, like, can never win any of the upcoming objective fights.
Yeah.
Well, T1 have really turned this bot lane around. You know, really stabilized quite significantly down here. The 6 is coming up in just a moment.
Yep, CS is still certainly going to be in control from Ruler, but you saw how the trades are working, right? Like, what Senatom Kench does is it alleviates pressure. Like, that is what it's so good at.
Look at this.
And Teddy and Kerry have been very good at it so far this season.
Look at this roam, too, from Clid. Like, that was right when Ruler was sitting 6. You have the Fate's Call. It was a really good opportunity. If T1 stayed for extra, like, one more second, try to get an extra plate, you actually punish that and get kills. But T1, they know the timing. They back away at the perfect moment. They get to crash the wave. And unfortunately, all that Clid's going to get is a ward removed and a control ward placed.
Does give them a little bit more safety here, and bottom side vision certainly available for Gen G as Cuz comes on over and kills Clid's Blast Cone, but Clid not looking too upset about it. This Cannon taking a bit of damage here towards the top side after the trade. And let's see whether Rascal can stabilize. It has been certainly in his wheelhouse, as now Cuz starting up the Rift Herald.
Look at the timing of this duel.
Yeah, right.
Teddy gets in, out of vision. He is just seen. Pings come down. Clid cannot contest. He's going to look for a smite steal.
Oh, okay. That's he just walks up to it and says thanks. Okay,
Well,
that's one way of losing the Rift Herald.
That's
Whether they can
unbelievable.
get the eye though.
That's unbelievable that happened, Atlas. Like, he actually just walks up and takes it.
Yeah, Cuz gonna have to try and get out of the way here as Clid. BDD finally there. The train leaves the station. I don't think anyone. Oh yes, it was. So the drive-by collection of the eye was successful there for Rascal. And he wants this, right? He wants to be able to get that plate gold so this Scion can reach relevance a whole lot earlier.
Really important to actually get that early on. And this is actually a tightrope that Clid walked. I mean, we talk about professional League of Legends as being a very calculated game, but when you're actually able to just know that you can walk forward and hope for a 50-50 smite steal to then fight for an Eye of the Herald, and you know that your comp is going to struggle in the regular team fight, but you could still steal that away. That's very impressive judgment here from Gen G. It was fairly low risk, right? And the reward is extremely high.
Oh yeah,
Really appreciate to see that
T1
play.
were 50-50ing, and Gen G are like, well, I'll take those odds if you guys are going to do all the damage.
Yeah, if you're going to do the heavy lifting, sure, why not?
Yeah, straight up.
And it was a really good rotation, too, from T1. You know, they had Teddy there first. They started it early, but Gen G does really good game sense, play it out. And Clid's able to take some of that fire away.
Yeah.
I'll watch this one more time. Just walks up. Again, if you turn on Clid here, it becomes a more complicated problem. He just walks up and gets it, kind of all in, but he's able to get over the wall. Super easy, quick draw out. And then if you're T1 here, you're like, well, I feel like I need to make sure that they don't get this Rift Herald. They can't even deny that. They force a flash, Rascal does. I mean, this could not have gone better for Gen G.
Absolutely not. That is 100% stabilization here. No kill, of course. T1 still the only ones with that one, but it's onto the Scion, who's just happily mitigating as much pressure as he can. And now Rift Herald can be utilized. T1 getting a bit of a shove here on the top side of the map. We'll give some opportunities here for Gen G to possibly find some aggression bottom side, as our Ruler is going to be also gifted some of this plate gold.
Yeah, there's just no way you can mitigate this, and they also have the Rift Herald drop. They're going to try to turn this into a Drake play as well. Like, it feels like Gen G are just out-macroing here. The value Teddy's getting on the top side is extremely mitigated. Even now with BDD showing up, he's going to get even less. This is definitely a trade that you want to take as Gen G. Is it good enough for their composition later on? It's hard to say right now. It's hard to judge. But with the 2 Drake advantage, the extra gold that's given over to Ruler now, I mean, it's about as good as it gets without having racked up several kills. I mean, that's, with 0 kills, I think this is the biggest advantage you could really hope for. Gen G really not losing out on a whole lot here. The question is, will it be enough?
Earth, Wind, and Fire comes in as it's of course Cloud Soul. You're welcome, everyone. I sort of took a bit of a timeout in the first game. Just wanted to give you guys a more fun soul. But now, finally, I do have to do what I do, which is Cloud Souls.
Could be a long series, you know. It could be more opportunities for you to give us more.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think there is certainly a chance here. As T1, they're only down 100 gold, and scaling is a weird conversation to have. These are 2 very different comps, right?
Yes.
Like, last game, it was 2 scaling comps, one of them scaled gooder, right?
Yeah, it was kind of a rank versus S rank scaling.
Yeah, and so both of them are trying to do the same thing, which means then the comp that does it better is going to win, right? This isn't as cut and dry. This is T1 with a poke composition. They want to set up, they want to avoid Gen G's engage, and then make it so that their health bars are too low for them to continue fighting. They also then have infinite scaling on set, so that's definitely good value for them too. However, that's not the identity of the composition. Gen G, though, they do have a hell of a lot of engage options, right? They can try to train in, they can search for Scatter the Weaks, and also Life can flank and go for really crazy engages and then just get face called out, right? They have a lot of ability to cause a ruckus, they just have to do it. And that's not what Gen G have been doing so far this season.
Yeah, they have not. But this is a really different style of drafting, as you said. And what's really cool about the 2 Drake lead is it means some of those Okay, just a little scuffle there.
Yeah.
Well,
That's making a scary amount of damage.
yeah, I was like a little bit worried for a second. But what's really interesting is that because Genji have these 2 Drakes in the lead, and the fact that it's a Cloud Soul, so it's not that significant in terms of the control, like, how much does T1 really have to commit to these upcoming Drake fights? Because normally, if you have 2 Drakes, you're starting to feel really worried as T1. You're starting to feel like the clock is ticking and you need to start utilizing your scaling. The fact that Genji had these really early is somewhat worrying in a different scenario, but because it's Cloud, I feel like T1 have a little bit more wiggle room as Kana really wants this plate.
Yeah, he's pretty
He's gonna get
desperate
it
for
too.
Yeah, finds it, but you know he's gonna get decimatingly smashed. There's a freeze in the area, gets the flash out from Kana. That one was free. Now Clid coming on over. He's gonna get distracted by a control ward. And you can see the tides are starting to turn. It feels.
Have to check on the accounting team whether that plate was worth the flash.
Yeah.
How much flashes are going for these days, but I feel like it might not be worth.
Finances might certainly be a bit of an issue here. That being said, the extra one.
整啲嘢先。如果地鏈唔見，我照開。
Kana, who's now underneath his dead turret. That was cute. 'Cause it's
慢
like,
啊，整啲嘢都
don't mind.
頗耐
Get
啊
on
嘛
the plate.
冇錯。
11點咁就會唔見啦。
And Teddy comes through and says,
你睇下見唔見到我地鏈如果唔見，照開波得。
That would be great.
Faker is really trying to push the issue here with Dawning Shadow as well. I think this is fairly realistic. Just cannot get stunned. Yeah, BDD already used his ult, so Faker feels very free to kind of trade like this.
Yep, but it is splitting resources just a little bit. I guess center is theoretically a support at this stage, so not a huge deal. As Carrier up towards the top side, he's actually had a fair bit of the solo farm so far during this game. You can see 2 levels ahead of where Life is, although Life did just ding level 8.
Yep. Slight edge there. Ruler has been given so much extra gold in this game. I mean, it's insane. Like, he's been able to free farm. He got extra plates on top, was able to get the whole full plates bottom. He's gonna get the top turret. It's kind of insane, actually, how much gold he has. But the range problem is not something money can solve. And that's going to be something that Genji need to figure out in these mid-game team fights first.
Well, there's a big teleport to come through from Rascal as Shirley is the prize, and now T1 get to set up with their poke. Let's see how it's going to be utilized as Clid dodges that spear. Shock Blast absorbed by Rascal, who's now getting tired, and the spear will connect now as well as
Reset.
Shirley is going to reset, and Kana gets to work on this turret. Remember, his W makes it very easy to do a lot of damage to these in a very short period of time.
If somebody gets low like this, it's just so hard to team fight as Genji anymore. You know, even though they had the positional advantage and they were in prime position with the the power spike that they have at this point in the game before T1 actually get all their items online, they still just can't do it if T1 gets free poke like that.
Yeah, and I mean this is exactly what T1's comp is designed to do, right? You
And it gets
stand
worse.
around in the river like this, and they are just going to benefit. What did we see so much last game? Everyone's standing around in the river. I know the weather's getting warm, but I mean, you don't need it that much. You know, we can spend a little bit of time in the mid lane or
You
another
can't be
lane.
here.
Yeah, Clid's just going to quick draw away. Oh, that bubble was so close to being extremely high value. Shirley, speaking of which, is going to be able to lock down that outer turret in the mid lane. And T1 now thinking about moving towards their next objective that they can set up a control around.
Genji, these are the kind of Drakes where, because you have 2 advantage and it's Cloud, I don't know if you need to fight this as Genji because you're walking into a team that's chipping away at you every step of your way in, and that's, if you get to the Drake, by the time you get there, will you have enough health to fight after that? I don't think the answer is yes, and they are able to dodge that spear, but they need to commit.
Carrier in a little bit of trouble here as Rascal rounds the corner. That is a decent sleep onto Ruler, but no one's able to follow up. Carrier tanking so much damage, and Rascal not able to find the smash. Now is the time when T1 thrives, though, as Faker does find Rascal. They've got so much more sustain. Teddy, not a massive amount of mana, but see the damage? Clid getting chunked. Faker darting forward to find Rascal. They still have vision of this, and Rascal is going to get snared. He's still very tanky, so he should be able to get himself out of the way, but has these health bars been taken down low enough? T1 also struggling a little bit. Teddy only has about 1 more Piercing Darkness available with his mana pool, so both teams call it a stalemate and will back away. I'm getting deja vu, Wolf. What was the kill score last time?
It was around the same, 0-1 at the early part of the game. It was Genji who had the early kill, but I feel like, Atlas, this is a scenario where you start to see the problems of Genji's composition already on display this early on. And every time, the crazy thing about this too, look at Kana CS, he's up 50 right now. Every time they scuffle like this and the chip damage comes through and Genji try to sort out a pick, Kana's just pushing mid lane. He always gets mid prio, he gets a ton of extra farm. He's already massively ahead. T1 have a comp that has so much pushing power. They have so much siege as well. So if the end result is a draw at the end of the fight, if it's a killless exchange, T1 get the better push. They get the better vision. They get Drake Prio in this case. And the problem just compounds upon itself. You could see that in those very short moments where Ruler actually gets in and hits some of those Rens, he does a ton of damage.
Yeah.
But it's just so difficult to do so that it might not matter. They might have missed their window to really snowball this game.
And we haven't seen any showstoppers really do very much. From Life as well. Like,
yeah.
I want to see the set get in there and actually try to put T1 out of position, because so far they haven't really been challenged as BDD. Not quite able to find any CC onto Teddy. Even if he did, Carrier was there to keep him alive.
The Fate's Call attempt there, you know, where you send in, you send up in a knockup in a set, then he showstops in, should be enough to guarantee kills at this stage, and the fact that it's not is very concerning, right?
It needs to be coordinated, right? Like, if you can do it with Rascal being able to drive a train into T1, like...
BDD needs to hit that follow-up Scar of the Week, right?
Yeah.
If you can lock down one target, doesn't matter who it is, and kill them, then you can just face roll the team fight, in most cases, with the set.
Yeah, and that's why they focus on Carrier, right? Because if they kill him, they kill the Devourer as well, right? He's the most pickable target right now. As, okay, here comes the train. Another flash comes out from Canna. That was already back up since their last fight. As Kemp Tank comes down, great knock up. And Klid should have the damage for this one. Canna just out of position. Pushing up a little bit too far. Now Gen.G in a 4 versus 5 scenario, but there's 4 minutes left on this streak. What are you really fighting for?
Yeah, exactly.
At this stage of the game as Faker jumps on over, he'll find the bubble.
Uh-oh!
Onto Klid as BDD flashes in front of the Battlestar to keep his jungler alive, and now Ruler finds Faker, who may be overextended. Fate's Call is going to land under the Tahm Kench as Faker spends so much time in his belly, but it means that Carrier gives up his life. Scat of the Week is good onto Cuz, but that is 2 picks now for Gen.G.
2 picks for Gen.G, but unfortunately there's a bit of a, you know, objective void here, as you mentioned. Unfortunately, even though they get kills here, there's not much you can turn this into. They might be able to get the mid turret for this. I think they will, as Faker is still trying to trade something back at the moment. But that was really well played from Gen.G. You punish Kana, who's out of position, who also lost his flash, which is pretty significant for the upcoming fight. And you can see, again, if you can have that engaged when T1 aren't playing on stable footing, when they aren't playing in this insane front-to-back position where they have so much poke, it's very difficult to actually handle these team fights. So Kana does have to flash the train, the ult coming through from Rascal, and then Gen.G say, okay, I see blood in the water. T1 either have to leave him out to dry, or they have to fight. And if they're going to fight, BDD is coming over here too. And then T1 fight a lot here. They stay very long. They try to set up a Faker's flank to get a kill. And then there's just this amazing moment here where BDD says, absolutely not. Flashes the Battlestar.
Sick.
And they even committed Teddy's ultimate here to try to get that kill. So a lot of resources used. There's no way out of the Fate's Call here, unfortunately, for T1 at this stage. Carry has to give his life for the retreat, but it feels like T1 stayed so long to fight for the scraps of this fight, and that's the kind of mistake you can make against a comp like this where Gen.G can start to snowball a game away from you if you give him too much agency.
Well, BDD gonna get snared up. Life now in position to try to defend. Klid makes his way through, and now Teddy might be out of position. Devour going to be used, but now it's on cooldown. There's Scat of the Week. Canna is dead once again, and here's the re-engage. Ulti comes through Cuz. Goes golden to mitigate it. Klid going to survive, and now the showstopper comes in. He's dead, actually, because there's no Fate's Call to keep him alive. However, now Faker could be in trouble, and this is not the kind of fighting that T1 wants.
Turret,
Ruler in trouble. Yeah, this turret is 100% the MVP as Pierce does a lot of work onto Faker, and Gen.G are bullied out of the way for now.
I mean, this is where it starts to get scary. I thought we'd already passed the point to where Gen.G can get picks like this and actually take these fights so decisively and really catch T1 out of position. But T1 are making some very serious mistakes in terms of their positioning. Gen.G see blood in the water. Their execution of this draft has been so phenomenal that even from behind, they now find themselves with a gold lead now in these very aggressive picks. It's not straight up front-to-back team fighting. It's just punishing of positional error. As we watch again, you see Kana steps way too far forward into this fight. He chases very significantly. Look at where Klid is. He comes back through. Life is practically immortal at this stage of the game. You can't kill him. And Klid comes over, gets that extra damage on the Kana, and at this point the fight is over. But Gen.G knows that their win condition is to snowball super hard. They commit the showstopper, everything here, to actually end up getting a favorable trade. The turret is doing so much damage in this scenario. Look at all the resources T1 have to use defensively here. It's actually crazy. But at the end of the day, like, this is looking better for Gen G than I think it should.
Yeah, and I actually really love that Rulers, with the upgraded shield for the shield bow, it looked like that turret didn't actually do damage to him. It was very, very cute. But of course, that just procced it. 2-0-1 now for the Kalista. And you can see why. I mean, this is the Flame Horizon timing for Ruler over Keria. It's not something, like, there should always be a CS gap, right? Especially now that Teddy has started farming. This is a little bit earlier, though, and Ruler is certainly in a very, very good position. I do still find it so difficult to try and conceptualize just, like, how strong the bottom lanes are when it's sent Tahm Kench against X.
It is hard.
But it feels like Ruler's in a good spot.
I mean, he's been given so many extra resources, too. So many extra turret plates, for example. It's not just the CS that he was also given. His sleep does connect.
Yeah, and Life is going to take a hell of a lot of damage. There's Dawning Shadow, and Fate's Call mitigates it for now. But that is so many resources just to keep Life alive, and now he has to go home anyway. So, T1 will be able to grab their second Cloud Drake, and I want to apologize yet again. Like, think about if this was
If this is Infernal or Ocean, yeah, it's a different story.
I mean, if it's Ocean, it's like infinite mana, and then you just like get all of your health back if you can actually, you know, stay at arm's length from Gen G. Like, that makes it very scary. Cloud Soul, not quite so much, although, you know, more movement speed is good.
I just loved in that last.
Out of the way.
I loved in that last fight. Clid was like, "I am not taking a bullet for you, Life. You are going to actually eat this Battle Star." And you know, I mean, if you end up getting that almost 100-0 damage that Faker is going to have, you know, at this stage, he's even now got a Dark Seal because he knows he's really going to start popping off, getting a ton of those stacks, and then doing a ton of damage. Like, he's going to get a Horizon focus soon too.
Yep.
You really have to respect that damage, and if anyone gets slept, they're basically dead. I mean, you have the ability to block a lot of that damage as Rascal here, but I mean, if he's not in a position to do so, and even if he eats the damage, you eat it too much, and then you can't fight anymore. Gen G are so reliant on these picks. The Showstopper, right? The Fate's Call. And when you see it used defensively like we saw in that last fight, you know that Gen G just have no opportunity to fight. They have to walk away. But 2 Drake advantage, that's the buffer you have here. And they've still been able to work into so many of these picks where you didn't expect, you know, especially into a poke composition for them to be able to get. They've been able to make it happen when T1 oversteps, so see if they can do it again.
Speaking of which, going to get the stun there onto Cuz, who's going to get devoured. Now that is on cooldown. However, they just choose not to walk up the river, and that is absolutely fine. But I like Gen G's idea. What Gen G can't do is start Baron. If they start Baron, then all of the poke rains on in. What they can do, though, is deny vision and set up the picks around the area.
Yes.
And we'll see how well they do that. We saw Cuz, for the brunt of it, only has a broken stopwatch. Zonya's going to be on the way very soon. As Life picks up a trap, but not going to get speared. Clear towards the bottom side has a huge advantage when it comes to farm. He is the secondary carry right now.
He really is. Set has to stay near the Kalista non-stop, otherwise you can't get that Fate's Call value, and that means that he can't be threatening anywhere else. And that is something that's so transparent and so predictable for T1. They know that if Set is there, Kalista has to be nearby, and if she's not, then you know, you're not going to do any damage. At this point, they know she's backed, and they're going to try to come in here and take away some of this vision. And they're just going to keep chipping away, and it's Rascal who's going to eat the damage. And in this passive moment here really benefits T1. Like, their draft is going to scale up better at this stage than Gen G's does. So yeah, Gen G can take vision away and just say, you better come over here and stop us from doing the Baron that we're definitely not doing. And T1 is just not going to be afraid of this. This is a great moment for Kanda to go side lane. Look, that's exactly what he's doing. He's gone to the bottom side of the map because you don't need him to be here right now. He's got teleport.
You don't want him to be here, actually. You want to play 4-1. You lose team fights as T1. Especially with Rascal being such a big menace in the front line. T1's comp, yes, it can outscale, but it's very different. The way that these two teams win is different. However, I feel like T1 should be able to, in the late game, force impossible situations onto Gen G that Gen G may not necessarily be able to do themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So T1 have fashioned themselves some agency. Just whether or not they can actually make it happen.
Look at the resources that are pulled down to deal with Kana. And this time he does not overextend. He knew that the rest of Gen G was around Baron, had the back to go deal with him, so he's in a good spot. There's pings showcasing, okay, he's got to be in the area, but we're probably not going to catch him right now. So many resources given over. But this is part of why Kana was picked twice in this game, in the side lane, because while T1 have to kind of group up otherwise 4-man to get that poke done, to make sure they're not picked by the aggressive, very, very strong early Gen G comp, That's what he's going to get value for T1 is in that side lane. He's punished for it, but he's doing his job correctly. And in this later part of the game where you have that Baron tussle, it's just so much more difficult to rotate somebody over there or multiple players over there to deal with him. So he gets away with it.
Yeah, if he wins in a side lane, then it becomes so comfortable for T1, right? Because then they just get to threat the Baron, and then they're going to be able to turn and win a 4 versus 3 is okay. Now it's just body blocking. Spear going to connect. Ruler in a little bit of trouble. Does have a lot of lifesteal, so should be able to just use this wave to get himself back up. Oh no, Kuz! Going to get taken down solo. The Primal Surge was decent, but that orb will finish him off. That's the jungler dead, and now Gen G might think about heading towards this Baron.
They have good vision control here too, Atlas. I mean, there's nothing for T1. They don't have the vision to actually throw these Pal Stars. They have to throw them blind. Well, they have to contest. They have to contest.
Faker will be able to get extra vision utilizing his portal jump, but 4 versus 5 is so dangerous.
No smite.
They are looking for a little bit of a flank, and it is just going to be taken by Gen G. They had the Rend, they had the smite. No way that T1 could answer, and now maybe out of position as Rascal is hurting Teddy and Carrier. The two-man face break is beautiful, and now Carrier needs to try and get over the wall, and he spits Teddy out. He might be safe, but BDD says absolutely not. And he's going to be able to find him exactly the perfect teleport. As Gen G, they're actually just, they're farmers. They're farmers. They're hurting T1 right now.
It's insane. And BDD is playing the series of his life right now. He sets up the pick that goes on to Kuz at the most critical moment. It's proactive plays like this on the Syndra. We've been talking about it all playoffs. Sometimes Syndra feels like a boring pick, sit back and poke, not as interesting as so many of the other mid laners we have, but if you're able to just go forward, hit that Scour of the Week, and set up for a kill like this so consistently as we saw him doing the Orianna in game 1, now on the Syndra, he's making such a big impact. You can actually make that pick into a Baron winning game move, right? Like, okay, yeah, Ruler gets caught here, but look where BDD is. He's just on vision. Kuz, you want to throw another spear? I know where you are. I know where you threw that spear from. Goodbye. And Life has a perfect follow-up. This is so well played from BDD, and this pick gets you a Baron. Now you can't fight.
So good, though. Like, Gen G just knew exactly what T1's options were and played to precisely what they were going to do. Look at Life. He just teleports in and says, bye, Teddy. You had no choice.
This is actually extremely difficult to do, extremely difficult to pull off with this low range comp. But it's proactive plays like that around vision control that can really set you up for success. I mean, Gen G have such a massive lead in this game now. We might be threatening inhibitors. Yeah, this is actually crazy. I mean, we're 31 minutes into the game and they're still winning team fights. They're still getting picks. This should not be happening.
This is the difficulty with the poke comp, though. This is something that we talk about all the time. When you fall behind, the snowball is so much easier. Like, it's a knife's edge style of composition because now T1, how are you supposed to keep yourself together if Rascal can just walk up and soak everything and he's fine? As this CC needs to come through, right? Like Ruler getting tagged by Teddy, that gives you a lot of time, but Cleared getting some spare time with a turret is absolutely not what you want, as now T1 stretched a little bit thin and Gen G sieging this one beautifully despite their lower range.
They are in such a good position here to just take these turrets out. 30 seconds left on the Baron buff. Oh, look at Life!
Flashing on in, finds the face breaker. Faker has to flash out once again. It's going to be Rascal there driving the train forward, and Faker nowhere that he could go. Dawning Shadow isn't saving anyone as Carrier falls down as well. Teddy does have a fair bit of damage. There are lower health bars, but Gen G just look inevitable
they look
right
like
now.
They want to end the game right now, Teddy.
Oh dear, Rascal just standing in front of him. Yes, that is a hell of a lot of damage. BDD, you have been so good this game. Kuz and Canna against the world. Can they actually do this? But I don't think the answer is yes. Nexus turret number 2 goes down. Gen G move to 2-0 against T1 in the playoffs.
What an unbelievable start here for Gen G, and BDD makes it happen again. Decisive plays on the Orianna, decisive plays on the Syndra, and this is the Gen G that fans were waiting for. This was the Gen G fans were hands clasped and praying for, because you never know what form you're going to see from Gen G in a best of 5. You never know if Gen G is going to show up against T1. It feels like the mental block that this team has had historically against T1 is just wiped away. We have a clean slate here tonight, and Gen G with 2 completely different styles of composition. Game 1, very slow, extreme late game scaling. Game 2, very much about early game control, feeding the Kalista and taking hard